Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the very first episode of Go and Make. My name's Andrew Crabtree. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and I just wanted to take a second to explain to you that this episode and the next 7 that come after it were pre-recorded long before the outbreak of coronavirus in the United States. In this difficult time, we know that Christianity has a very unique platform as the world is watching our response to this global pandemic. With that in mind, we wanted to continue ahead with our planned release of Go and Make in hopes that it could be an encouragement to you at home at this time. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope you enjoy the very first episode of Go and Make.
Welcome to a new episode of Go and Make, a Jesus Film Project podcast that's dedicated to celebrating innovations in the Great Commission all over the world. I'm Ryan Wagner, Director of Marketing and Communications, and one of your hosts here.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Crabtree, the other host, and just an advocate for the ministry here. Love to see what's going on in the gospel being spread around the world. And today we had on Kari Kennedy, who was really fun, and her role in global expansion was kind of fun to talk about.
Oh man, yeah, and you know, one word I have for Kari is well-spoken.
Agreed.
She's just a well-spoken person that loves to tell the story of what's happening, and you can just sense her passion come out when she was talking about connecting people with what they need to get the job done in their area of the world. So anyways, we loved it. We know you will too. Check it out.
Live it up, live it up, live it up, live it
up. All right, well, we're going to jump in. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in to this next episode of Go and Make, a podcast from Jesus Film Project that is really all about celebrating innovation in the Great Commission.
It's exciting stuff.
It is. And so today we have an exciting guest, which is Kari Kennedy. Kari, welcome.
Thanks, Ryan.
Kari, you have been with Jesus Film Project for how long now?
I've been with Jesus Film for 2 years now,
But
2.5.
But with Crew at Large, you've...
Crew at Large, 18 years, going on 19 in February.
19.
Yeah, that feels long and then doesn't feel long.
Why doesn't it feel long? Just because life's happened so fast?
Life happens so fast, and you just take one step of faith at a time for the next exciting adventure, and it just kind of passes you by pretty quickly, and you're like, oh, wait, we're at 19.
Man,
this happened.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
And so you serve out of Atlanta, but which is a little different than most Jesus Film Project staff.
Yes.
So how does that work with your role, which you can explain what that is, and then is there an advantage to being in Atlanta?
There's a huge advantage of being in Atlanta, in my opinion. The role that I play is on the global expansion team, and I focus in a specific area of the world that represents a large portion of the 1040 window. And another part that I play is also connecting with partners outside of our organization. So a lot of the times that includes me flying, hence why Atlanta is a good hub, to different places overseas or stateside to connect with leaders and strategists to figure out what they're doing, what they need help with, where they need our resources, and how that works. One of our largest resources that we help equip partners and our field staff with is what we call the VistaBrite 200, and it's a solar panel backpack that enables one person to go forth and show the Jesus film to an audience of 200. They can request up to 8 different languages in their areas of the indigenous people that they're around and be able to show the Jesus film and do discipleship and follow-up. That company is Renew Outreach. They are based in Atlanta as well. So I do a lot of partnering, going over there, strategizing with them, talking with them, sharing of partners, and that kind of stuff. So a small nutshell of what I do.
Well, she just jumped right into the innovation stuff, didn't she?
Ooh, sorry.
No, it's great. We're hopping.
So you're in Atlanta. So big picture though, you are working with, your core directive is to like, hey, we need better connection. We want you to connect with different ministries and partners around the world.
Yes.
See what they need and how we can fulfill that need.
That is, a lot of the times I'll meet people and they're like, what do you do with Jesus Film? And I say, I help put resources into the indigenous workers' hands. So that could be through an organization or a denomination like the Anglicans. The Anglicans are a huge partner that we've just recently started working with over the last year and a half. And so interacting and working with people in Nigeria, Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, and basically helping put these resources into their hands and then talking through strategy with them about how to use other films besides just our classic Jesus film. How do they incorporate Magdalena for their women to sit around and have conversations with those they're reaching out with in their villages? Or even some partners that don't like to name their locations, that are in high-risk areas, but yet they ask us what are the great resources that are working out on the field. So I'll hear from our field staff in certain areas and they'll say, this is very effective, this is what's working. And so then I'm able to go to the partner and share which films and which short films are the ones that are most effective in those areas.
So you've connected with a bunch of different leaders
Yes.
around the world. They probably are doing things in places that we can only, we only read about or talk about or maybe see in the news. So
Yes.
what are some of the activities there that you just wish everybody knew about that just people don't know?
So I mentioned already the Anglicans, and one of the things that was really exciting, so they had a large conference last year in Jerusalem. It was called GAFCON 2018, was that the year? Yes, 2018. Yeah. I forget. There were like 3,000 Anglicans gathered. And so Jesus Film, our campus ministry, and our humanitarian aid movement was there again. And we were interacting with different bishops, archbishops.
Which is now called
Unto. Yes,
How about that?
Thank you for that clarity. I was not quite sure when that was fully taking place.
I see a banner out in the hallway, so I assume we're good.
I literally was like, oh, okay, that's happening. I've been waiting for the rollout.
Yeah.
But we all have these rollouts and plans. But so we're there, and all these bishops, they're coming by, and as they see some of the equipment, like the VistaBrite 200, they say, how can I get this? And we say, well, we ask that you show the film at least 50 to 100 times a year and send us back reporting twice a year. And they say, we don't have to pay for it? And I say, as long as you fulfill the equipment criteria, our donors want to put it into your hands so that you are freed up to be able to go and show the Jesus film wherever you go. And what we hear back from many of our partners that are in that moment, they say, we know the success of the Jesus film and we know that this will help what we are doing in church planning and discipleship within the villages. Recently, I was at another conference with the Anglicans. It was their global missions conference called New Wineskins. And as I was there, I was interacting with one of these bishops from Nigeria. And he said, Kari, I want to get this backpack. How can I get it? And I said, Mark, why didn't you get it when we were in Jerusalem? And he goes, I was out on mission. And then I said, well, then we followed up with another meeting in Dubai. Did you not get it then? And he goes, I was out on mission. I said, okay, well, let me see what I can do. We had some extra backpacks and we were trying to figure it out. And the very last day, we figured out that we could give Mark this one backpack and then follow up with giving him the SD card. So I said, Mark, I have good news. He said, what is it? And I said, we're going to give you a backpack before you leave here. And he goes, yes, devil beware. And I think that's the joy and the excitement of working with partners out on the field.
Yeah.
To hear that kind of response, to know that we're putting resources into people's hands, that they know that it'll accelerate what they're doing. And we basically get to say, yes, we want to work with you and we want to put these things into your hands. We also get to hear feedback from others that are out on the field with language strategies. So oftentimes we'll be interacting with a partner and they're saying, we need this language. Well, then I'll often go back to our language department and say, where are we at in the production or the research or the process of this script? And they say, well, this population is this size. Well, according to the field, we found out the numbers are different, and it actually helps accelerate the process of seeing a script move forward. Okay. So oftentimes it's connecting. It's not just putting our resources into their hands, but they're giving us feedback on what they know out on the field. Say a people group is based in one country like Chad, but it's crossover into another border country, and there's a partner there that's requesting it. Well, we are able to add information to what's happening. So again, the synergy that's occurring by working with partners and connecting our departments, so we're all talking and communicating well together.
So you're saying it's not just like, hey, this country's working on this, and this could, the boundaries and guidelines are very fluid.
Exactly.
In order to figure out what's really happening.
Exactly. Another fun, interesting phone call I had 2 weeks ago with a company named Biblica. They basically focus on straight Bible resources. And as I was interacting with them, they have some specific tools that are very focused in their area. And since they're a resource ministry and we're a resource ministry, we think, why would we work well together? Or why would we even work well at all? But as they are a resource ministry and we might have partners that we can share that are being able to utilize different resources from both sides. So we're able to represent each other more out to the field for those that are interacting and down boots on the ground.
So as you're kind of building all these resources and packages and everything that's going out, maybe what's what are some resources that might be coming up, or what's like the next step that you're looking for and maybe taking a next leap there?
Yes. So one of the most exciting things is this thing called a pocket light stream, and it's a Wi-Fi mobile hotspot. And it doesn't exactly get you fully to the internet, but it comes preloaded with information on it, like the Bible translation in that language or people group, or the Jesus film or the different films that we have translated. So it looks basically like a power book, and you can put it in your backpack and you can go to different parts of a country or area that may be high security. And what happens is people are attracted to the Wi-Fi signal and they go to it and they find that they can get resources in their heart language about who Jesus is, or what does it mean to follow him, or answer some common questions that they may have depending on their faith journey background. So this thing is like the next hot topic tool.
Is that currently in use now, or is
It is. It is out in use right now. And from what I know, recently in a country that I cannot name in North Africa, it has been used and been very successful. And the number of downloads, even with the internet costs being very high, people are utilizing it, and we're seeing thousands of downloads and people coming to faith.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's not one of those, a lot of people might have concern, thinking like, well, how do we know what's being used and what? And I mean, I remember hearing a story in a place where someone's using that. They were trained by a Jesus Film Project team in this example, and he learns to turn it on, and you just overhear people talking, saying, I mean, they're not used to going online and seeing a bunch of different, or hitting a Wi-Fi hotspot and seeing a bunch of Christian content.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's quite jarring of an experience. And so this individual was overhearing another couple saying, wow, did you see all this stuff about Jesus on here? And he can overhear them. And he just says, hey, he's not saying that's coming from my pocket or my bag or whatever. He's just saying, wow, that's, I actually know a lot about Jesus and love to talk about Christianity and politics, which everybody always talks about in all the countries. And so,
bless their souls.
And so, out of that story, a church was planted. That guy started a church from using that type of technology. So it's really amazing. Because I can think, oh, yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm at a coffee shop and I deflect it. But in other countries, it's just so powerful.
I think that's one of the things within our American culture. Oftentimes, we miss the reality of the film and the heart language, being able to communicate, and the number of resources we have, which are great and wonderful. However, but in certain countries, resources are limited. And so the ability that people can have to get to those resources, because they have questions. And I think that's the other exciting thing, is to hear those stories that people are searching and people want answers, but they don't know where to begin, and what can they trust, and what is safe, what is not going to get them in trouble with their government. So the fact that the Pocket Light Stream is one of those things that they can begin to explore, and then download it to their own phone and explore it on their own and continue to dialogue and ask questions. So.
As kind of your ministry moves into the future, is that, a big part of the light stream, a big part of that?
I would say yes, in light of the area of the 1040 window, because security is getting tighter and tighter. We need to be more careful. And the digital side of things is definitely ramping up and increasing, especially on YouTube. But at the same time, how do we make that one-on-one connection, and how do we allow people to have those conversations? I would say going into the future, one of the things our hope is in building our network with partners is to be able to connect people on the field to trusted partners, to be able to say, can you follow up with this person and have tea or coffee with them, so they're not just left out on their own figuring it out, but they're able to be connected to a larger body of Christ. And that could be 5 or 10 people. But it allows them to not feel isolated and alone, to be able to interact over what.
Yeah, that's what's hard. You want that personal connection, like at all costs. But it can be so risky.
Yes, very much so.
As you look at your space in the next 10 years or so, say you keep hustling, doing what you're doing, you're connecting all the people. What gets you? Where's your passion go when you think of the next 10 years?
I think it's continuing to build that network of partners and making sure that they're talking. It's not just Western based, but even connecting the partners that we have in different locations around the world. We've talked about hub locations around the world, so it's not just coming out of here in Orlando, but more so, what does it look like to be based in Chiang Mai, or what does it look like for people to continue to be resourced, and what does it continue to look like for partnership for the kingdom's sake? It's not just, there's a phrase that I continue to hear of, no egos, no logos. let the gospel go. And to be in a room in a country in Africa and to hear that chanted amongst top leaders, I think they're getting it in their own country, but what does it look like for them to unite together across country boundaries to say, we want to help see the Great Commission fulfilled in said country together. And it's not about my organization or your organization making its name great, but it's about making Jesus' name great. I think that's more of like, how do we continue to work through walls and boundaries that have been up for years and bring those down? And so being able to network for them for the greater good, to see unity in the body. So
Do you feel like that's because I've felt that over the last couple of years, where it's where I would talk to people connected to our ministry, that there is a sense of just the church body linking arms, like it. I mean, I don't know, but it just feels like it feels fresh.
it definitely is. Even a large organization that does a lot of mobilization of young people, recently being out at their conference, they love the Jesus film. And you would think they are one of us, the way they talk about it and how they interact with it. And I just think, well, I don't need to tell it. They're telling it. Or to go to a conference and there's no platformed speaker of a Jesus film representative, but Jesus film is one of the key resources that's being talked about. And then when people come by the table, they're like, everybody's talking about this. What is it? And I kind of, when an American asks that, I kind of am like, okay, I guess not everybody in America knows about the Jesus film. That's okay. But being able to talk about the heart language, the translation numbers, and how we're trying to go after the top languages that need to see translation, that mindset of everybody's in it together is very, very encouraging.
Yeah, I think we're in a pretty exciting time. I mean, I don't know what it... I'm glad to feel that way. At least we're not like, boy, this is just a bummer time to live in. I mean, we're in a place where like, this is really exciting. I think you're in a very unique and innovative space, that you're connected to some forms of technology that not most people aren't aware of, and then at that you get to help introduce that, which I feel like is where your passion really comes alive, is that connecting of people and resources to help maximize greater effectiveness. So anyways, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having
I'm glad
me.
this was, I'm glad it worked out, because you like kind of, you moved some things, you did some things to get here, so we're grateful
It's always
for
worth
you.
it to be able to tell God's story.
Your energy and it makes me excited about, let's get her out there.
Let's
That's
go.
why you want me in Atlanta. Just going to say another plug for the great city of Atlanta.
Well, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
We'll keep that in there.
We wish you were here, of course, but
Thanks,
whatever helps get the job done.
I do like coming down to Orlando.
Which, that's good, because
That
you
is
do
good.
often.
I am here often.
Yeah, all right.
So
Well, thank you
thanks
so much. Yeah,
I
this was fun.
appreciate it. Yeah.